Tonight, the LNP's pledge for a youth justice school.
A former MP faces court for the first time.
A renewed push for sustainable tourism.
And millions for the Cassowary Coast Water Network.
This is 7 News with Joanne, Desmond and Ned Balme.
Good evening, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for joining us.
The opposition leader has pledged to build a youth justice school in Cairns if elected next month. The facility would operate 12 hours a day with specialist teachers and one-on-one case management for high-risk children.
Last year, youth criminals targeted Lemoncello restaurant twice in 1 week. Opposition leader David Crisafulli condemned the vandalism then, and today was back with a plan.
There will be 2 schools and they will have a focus on making sure that kids have discipline and structure in their life. 12 hours a day, 5 days a week. One
of the youth justice schools will be built in Cairns if the LNP is elected next month. The facility will be run by Ohana for Youth and will target high-risk offenders on youth justice orders. They'll be classed as special assistance schools and will use on-site case managers and extracurricular activities to re-engage youth.
And then applying literacy, numeracy, science, maths and those sorts of programs to make sure that they do learn and stay engaged in learning.
Mr Crisafulli says the program is a Queensland first, but Premier Stephen Miles claims his government has been supporting this education model for years.
We have plans on the books to have more than 100 of these schools up and running.
The 2 schools will be built by 2026 and will cost $40 million in capital works. The community will be consulted about its location.
To ultimately ensure these young people stop engaging with the youth justice system, get back into schooling and have a rewarding life.
Sophie McManus, 7 News.
Former Barron River MP Michael Trout has made his first appearance at Cairns Magistrates Court on assault charges. The 56-year-old is facing 2 counts of assault occasioning bodily harm and 1 count of unlawful stalking after he was allegedly involved in a street brawl at Holloways Beach in May. He has stepped down from his role as the LNP's regional chair. The matter was adjourned until November 8.
The state government has committed $1.6 million to a Far North tourism company in a renewed push towards sustainable tourism. It's part of a $15 million package made available to Queensland tourism companies.
Jay Winks is the owner of the reef charter company ABC Snorkel. He says it's a niche service with marine biologists to teach guests on board.
Ecotourism is totally us. We look after the environment and we very lightly encourage our customers to do the right thing.
He's received $1.6 million from the state government to buy a new boat.
We're looking to do some more work with coral, with planting.
There was $15 million up for grabs for any tourism company that could prove they're making a shift towards sustainability.
It generates billions of dollars. Last year alone, $33.4 billion was turned over.
Tourism Minister Michael Healy also announced that the first 7.8 kilometres of Wangetti Trail will be open in 2 weeks' time. This section will be a 3-hour hike or a 45-minute mountain bike ride. The final touches of Section 1 of the path were airlifted in over the past week.
To put the bridges in place, they've actually had a helicopter and they've had to drop the concrete.
But the LNP say it's too little, too late.
That Wangetti Trail has been $1 million per kilometre. It's way overdue. 2022, I believe it was supposed to be completed.
Christina Pooljak, 7 News.
An uptake in free RSV vaccines is protecting Queensland children against respiratory disease and keeping them out of hospitals. The Chief Health Officer believes it's the most significant health development in decades.
Queensland is leading the nation when it comes to making sure the tiniest and most vulnerable are protected.
More than 10,000 babies have now had their RSV vaccine. It's a $31 million investment.
That investment has made the vaccine free since April. At the time, 108 babies were diagnosed with the respiratory virus.
In the last couple of weeks, that's down to just 8. This is incredible.
Hailed as the most significant public health development in decades.
This is certainly one of the most important medical developments that I have seen during my career over the last 30 years.
The virus is common, but hospitalisations have almost halved compared to last year.
The most common cause of hospitalisation of infants under the age of 12 months in Australia.
The latest data from the state government shows out of 364 children under 6 months of age hospitalised since the program started, only 8 were immunised.
No, it's terrible. I mean, and it's terribly frightening. And anyone who's experienced this.
All babies less than 8 months old are eligible for the free vaccine. Josh van Staden, 7 News.
The Cassowary Coast's failing water system is getting an upgrade with a $9 million commitment by all levels of government. Pipelines in 3 regions will be replaced, saving an expected 588 megalitres a year.
Tully, Innisfail and Nyaletta are some of the wettest towns in Australia, but ageing pipes have made it hard to keep the rain in the water network, a fact all 3 levels of government have worked to change.
$9 million going towards the local regional council to make sure that their water networks in their communities aren't leaking.
The funding is part of the Water Infrastructure for Sustainable and Efficient Regions, or WISER program. The state and federal governments each pledged $4 million, with the Cassowary Coast Council contributing $1 million to the project.
Some of our water infrastructure has been in place since the 1930s, so you could just imagine what state some of this is in.
The upgrade being undertaken this financial year will save around 588 megalitres per year, helping to drive down the cost of residents' water bills.
So this is a very big welcome to getting us to the construction and planning of some new pipes.
Sophie McManus, 7 News.
More than 6,000 regional Queenslanders are using Rent Connect to help find accommodation. Labor is rolling out 42 new offices statewide to help those facing homelessness secure rentals by paying their bond loans and offering support.
Cecile McDonald never imagined she and her husband would have to live in a caravan for 4 years. They recently found a private rental, but a rent increase left them fearful they might face homelessness again.
Due to the property being sold, they put a rent increase of $130 a week, which is effective next month.
The McDonalds went to Rent Connect for help.
Being able to stay in our rental for the next 26 weeks, with them helping to pay our rent and our new increase in bond.
The Mars government has today announced 42 new Rent Connect offices across the state to help renters access the private market.
Whether that's bond loans, whether that's helping with rental security.
It really demonstrates that we keep saying we'll do more, and we are doing more. 2
new Rent Connect offices will be based in Cairns, Townsville, Mackay, Sunshine Coast and Toowoomba. There will be 4 in central Queensland and 5 in the Wide Bay.
So they'll be providing support and services as part of our $160 million rent relief package.
The opposition says its focus is on delivering 500 new homes across the state.
After a decade of failures, of higher rents, of less homes and more homelessness, the Miles government cannot be trusted to deliver what regional Queensland needs.
Georgie May Walker, 7 News.
And ahead tonight, the state's 50-cent fares to stay beyond the election.
And a crisis meeting to save the supply of hardwood timber.
Cairns turns to 7 News to keep up to date on local issues, and we want you to be a part of it. If there's something happening in your street, your suburb, we want to know about it. Send us a message or drop us an email.
Welcome back. Both sides of politics have committed to keeping 50-cent fares going in their latest battle to win votes on October 26. But one economist says we'll have to bear the cost for a permanent discount.
Getting from A to B on Queensland's public transport network has never been cheaper.
We can lock in 50-cent fares permanently.
Labor and the opposition have pledged to keep the wheels turning on 50-cent fares, regardless of who wins next month's election.
Me, who's lived my whole life wanting to make this change, or David Crisafulli, who's only decided he supports it.
We've got a plan to make sure that every Queenslander can benefit from lower fares.
Since the trial began 5 weeks ago, light rail has recorded the biggest surge, up 35% on pre-COVID levels. Ferries were almost up 23%, buses 3.6%, while rail was just under 2%. Across the state, Mackay had the largest uptake, up 30%, with Sundays 21, Cairns 14, Bundaberg 11, while Rockhampton and Townsville were just under 10%. But cheap fares come at a price. It's expected to cost Queenslanders at least $300 million a year to keep it rolling.
It's likely to be more like $380 million.
And that's why we said yesterday, not only will we'll be back in those cheaper fares, but it needs to go further in terms of regional Queensland.
Frank Russo, 7 News.
Well, colour and creativity took over Cannon Park Racecourse over the weekend for the Amateurs Carnival. There were almost 100 competitors in fashions on the field this year, but former Ambassador Brittany Tamo took out the top spot for her take on tropical elegance. And judges described her look as head-to-toe perfection.
Queensland's timber industry is calling for reform, claiming it's been unfairly targeted for more than 30 years. Politicians, workers and stakeholders gathered at the weekend to demand action, with a third of the state's timber now imported from overseas.
It's a tall order hauling timber, but these stakeholders say Queensland's industry is a cut above the rest.
It's a $4 billion industry to the state and it supports 23,000 jobs.
250 people rallied for Timber Day, demanding urgent reforms in forest management. They say the industry is being unfairly vilified.
And what we're looking for is policy certainty for industry to reinvest in forest management.
They also argue current policies are outdated and damaging, including the South East Queensland Forest Agreement, which determines who owns what parts of the forest and how they are used.
Currently, 30% of the timber needs in this state are imported from overseas. Now, that's shameful.
At 51 million hectares, Queensland has the largest area of native forests of any state or territory in Australia. That's 39% of all native forests in the country.
Less than 4 million hectares are dedicated to state forests.
We remove approximately between 5 to 10 stems per hectare at between 15 and 30 years.
I think there's a good opportunity to manage our state forests, harvest the appropriate timber, but also maintain the environmental significance of that area.
Hannah Watt, 7 News.
Well, Luke is here and that means time for a bit of sport.
Certainly isn't. Luke, heartbreak for the Northern Pride.
This was a tough one to take, Joe. They were defeated in extra time in the Q Cup preliminary final. What a hard way to end their season. We'll have all the highlights on that next. Plus the unsung hero of the Cowboys finals campaign. That's according to their co-captain.
Stream 7 News anywhere, anytime, live and on demand on 7plus. And with 7news.com.au, you'll know the news now.
Welcome back to 7 News. Well, the Cowboys will ride into the second weekend of NRL finals after neutralising Newcastle in Saturday's elimination final. Next up, it's the Cronulla Sharks, and there has been plenty of overlap from both side stars at Origin level.
They said goodnight to Newcastle's finals hopes, but can the Cowboys sink the Sharks too?
We've got the belief and that's all that matters to us.
Captain Courageous was all heart and effort in their 28-16 win over the Knights.
There's still ways that we can be better and we know that, and I think it's important that we just bring that intensity and energy that we have the last couple of weeks.
His next task, nullifying Nico Hines, and it's a familiar matchup to the big stage, previewed in Origin Game 1.
Origin's a different game to club level, so I know finals it's going to be a big game, and Nico and the Sharks are going to really be up for the contest, and I'm really excited for the battle.
While they were opponents, Reece Robson is the inside man. The Sharks are littered with his Blues brothers, including Hines.
Playing alongside him and knowing how he likes to play and things he looks for in the game might give me a little bit of opportunity, but he's probably got the same against us with me too.
Origin Series success has set the platform for a confident run in clubland, but it has its price too.
It's definitely a little bit of a pat on the back, those individual honours. A month or two after the Origin period was just pretty much just get my body right again, and it's just starting to feel good again too.
And perfect timing, especially with the hooker running riot.
And the way we're playing our game at the moment is just sticking with it and playing the long game and keeping the ball in play. And I think the longer the ball stays in play, the more tired the opposition middles get. So it allows me to sort of to sort of have some runs off the back of that.
And that's why Tom Dearden says he's the unsung hero of their finals campaign so far.
He brings so much line speed and he locks up our middle.
Emma Halliday, 7 News.
And while our Cowboys' quest for the NRL Premiership continues, the NRLW side are unfortunately all but out of contention for finals after a loss to the ladder-leading Roosters. Now, Sydney scored the opener in Gosford before hometown hero Kira Dibb and Ja'Kiah Whitfield scored back-to-back tries to give North Queensland the lead. But they couldn't manage another one as the Roosters crossed for 3 more tries, winning 24-12.
We shot ourselves in the foot. There's no other way of looking at it. Yeah, we weren't good enough today.
The Cowboys will host the Knights in their final game of the NRLW season on Saturday. Well, the Northern Pride's Golden Q Cup season has come to a heartbreaking end. The Redcliffe Dolphins snatched a golden point win at Barlow Park in the preliminary final, stunning the Cairns crowd.
Coming in with 13 straight wins and undefeated at home this season, the Northern Pride had the hopes of Cairns on their shoulders in the Q Cup preliminary final. Down 4 points at the break, Ewan Moore levelled the scores early in the second half. The Pride nearly found themselves in front but had 2 crossings overturned, the next score coming from the visitors. Then in the 75th minute in his 50th Cup game, Will Partridge brought the crowd alive. Tom Duffy's conversion attempt went wide, leaving scores deadlocked, and in extra time, one chance was all the Dolphins needed to break the Pride's hearts.
Oh, mate, it's a shed full of devastation is probably the best way to describe it. It's hard to believe that all the hard work just comes down to that.
The Pride left it all on the field, their season ending in Golden Point for the second year in a row. And with coach Eric Smith joining the Dolphins next season, the rebuilding process begins right away.
There's a core group of guys here that want to win and they won't stop trying, so we just got to make sure we accommodate that and get the right things around them and keep moving forward.
The Dolphins will play North Devils in Sunday's grand final. James Ingram at 7 News.
Well, the Cairns Taipans have finished their pre-season NBL Blitz campaign without a win, losing their final game by just 3 points against the Brisbane Bullets. The Taipans' big guns played limited minutes in the clash, Jonah Antonio and Dylan Stith stepping up with 16 points each. Cairns had possession with a chance to equalise, but in the dying seconds, Keandre Cook came up with the game-saving steal. The NBL season starts this weekend at Hoops Fest in Perth, with the Taipans facing the Hawks on Saturday night. Don't have to win in pre-season, but they'll have to probably try and start winning soon because the points are on the line now.
Yes,
so.
Of course they are. All right, thanks for that, Luke.
Thank you, mate. And after the break, Dani Sharp will have all the details on the weather.
Good evening, Dani Sharp with tonight's weather. Well, if you needed moisture at your place, well done, your rain dance worked. After a weekend of grace, that wet weather has returned and it looks like it's not alone. But before we dive into the forecast, a quick check of today's conditions, I should say. Temperatures hit 24 in Cairns and Mareeba, with what felt like showers almost every hour. Only a couple millimetres in the gauge though, while Cooktown Airport, you hit a top of 26. On the satellite loop, you can see that big clump of heavy cloud over the northeast. Combined with gusty southeasterlies, that's causing constant showers from a bit north of Mackay up to Cairns. The southeast caught some of that late last night, brief but intense wind basically bringing that rain in sideways. On today's synoptic chart, a low in the Tasman Seas combining with high pressure to push a southeasterly wind surge along the east coast, prompting marine wind warnings from Gari to the peninsula. Tomorrow, that high pressure system will move a little closer and should generate enough power to get rid of these showers at least for a little while. But while things look calm, they will be cold, at least cooler than the September average. On the outlook chart, we're expecting a trough to move into the southwest on Thursday and then move east to central and southern Queensland by Friday and possibly linger for a few days. Rain isn't too likely at this stage, but that heat will return with a vengeance. And now the latest from the Weather Bureau, the boating forecast for Cairns waters. Tomorrow brings a strong wind warning for our coastline, up to 30 knot southeasterlies, with seas building to about 2.5 metres. Things should settle by about Thursday. There is a full moon this Wednesday, so the tide is naturally getting bigger, peaking tomorrow evening at over 3 metres off Cairns. It should be the highest tide this week. Low tide should swing out by 2 p.m. The North Tropical Coast and Tablelands, if we're going to see showers at all tomorrow, they'll most likely be in the morning, up to 7 millimetres on the radar. Otherwise, a cloudy day ahead, temperatures in the mid-20s, a top of 28 for Cooktown, 26 for Cairns. And looking ahead for Cairns, showers are possible again on Wednesday, but not nearly as likely. After that, things start to clear up while our temperatures climb again, hitting the low 30s on Saturday and Sunday. In Atherton, showers could last a little longer, but again, very small amounts of moisture. Sunny on Sunday for you. And that's all from me tonight. Thank you so much for your company. For now, guys, stay warm. The cold weather won't last for very long.
Great, thanks for that, Dani. And that's all from us for this Monday. Thanks for your company.
A reminder that you can watch a replay of 7 News on 7 Plus or download the 7 News app. From all of the team, have a good night.
Good night.